Thank you very much for staying on the marketplace. Welcome back. Now, the two financial institutions appointed to issue the 10 billion Citi energy bond are optimistic of successfully raising the entire amount despite current developments in the United States of America. George Rafi has more in this report.
There are fears the recent interest rate hike by the U.S. Central Bank could affect efforts to raise the funds at a favorable interest rate. This because there's a likelihood that most of these foreign investors who always participate in the country's bond sale will rather turn to the U.S. market because of the perceived security for their investment. But persons close to the joint lead managers, Standard Chartered Bank and Fidelity Bank, have all told Joy Business they have what it takes to sail through this challenge. They argue that they have already secured the necessary commitments from some local investors and foreign investors as well to ensure that they get all the 10 billion cedis. Joy Business understands that Ghana Commercial Bank have also been brought on board to act as local registrars for the whole offer. This is part of efforts to give some local content touch to the whole transaction. However, analysts have maintained that the biggest challenge for this offer would be how to secure the required interest from foreign investors who are often the biggest buyers of the country's long-term bonds. Government has asked the joint lead managers to complete the whole fundraising exercise within 2 months after they were officially appointed. The state is hoping to use funds raised to clear debts in the energy sector, which has led to high defaults in the banking sector, putting some banks into serious financial distress, and even the collapse of some oil marketing companies.
Now, Minister for Railway Development Gov't has hinted government is likely to choose a local contractor for the construction of the Kumasi-Paga railway line. This, according to him, is to indicate government's commitment to strengthening local content in the construction industry. About 215 companies have so far expressed interest in the almost 600 kilometers project, out of which about 550 are local contractors. Mr. Gov't tells Joy Business government is doing everything possible to ensure maximum local participation in all projects across the country.
It is not only foreign companies that have expressed interest. Ghanaian companies have expressed interest. Some of them have expressed interest by themselves. Others are working with foreign counterparts. And so out of the 217 proposals we have in all, about 80 of them are Ghanaian companies, either by themselves or together with foreigners. And that gladdens my heart, that Ghanaians are also responding to the call over about $7.8 billion on the low side, and it can go higher depending on what you want to attach and add on. So it's not something that I, Gov't, will stand there and tell you that we are going to use this method. I'm going to give proposals to Cabinet, and then Cabinet will instruct me that use A or use B. And so we are going to work in the best interest of the country.
Finally, on the Tema Kusumbu, do I understand from you that the plan for the construction has been changed?
It's not the plan. There's been a variation. It's not a plan for the construction. At first, it was going to go through Akosombo itself, go for 1.3 kilometers through the hill, and then at a certain point, it would stop or end where the Dodi Princess. Those of us who know Akosombo, around where the Dodi Princess takes off. But it would have passed very near the dam, about 60 meters away from the dam at a certain point, and they were going to burrow or tunnel through a hill. And so with some of us saw that it was a risk we were not prepared to take. And so we tried to kill two birds with one stone. After kilometer 70, cross the water, go to the other side, and to also help us to enter the water region and to create a new development, a new town, a new industrial estate, a new place for accommodation for people even who are staying in Accra and elsewhere in the southern part of the water region. So that is what we are trying to do.
Has that contract also been given to a local company?
No, it is the same contractors, which is the Indian contract. Don't forget that money is from Indian Exim. And so it's the same contractors who we've asked to do the variation, and they've done the variation. They've shown me the engineering designs, and it will involve 10 kilometers more. So instead of 84 kilometers, now it will be 94 kilometers. And so it is not...
At what cost, please?
Well, they are bringing me the cost as well. And then, of course, we'll subject the cost to the appropriate quarters for them to do a review of it. It will be best, it will not be no different from the cost that are already agreed upon. What I mean is that if 84 kilometers is $1, then another 10 kilometers, you can't tell me that it's $5. So it is something that we can all look at. But the point is that the current thinking is that it should cross the water and go into the water region.
So it means it's not going to have any additional cost to the
original. It's going to have additional cost because there's 10 kilometers more. But the additional cost of 10 kilometers will more than pay because of the benefits we'll get. Because the rail will enter the water region. And where it enters the water region, don't just enter the water region for fun. It will enter the water region and create the basis for a new economic paradigm in the southern part of the water region.
Now, civil society organization, the Ghana Growth and Development Platform, GGDP, is advocating that government directs its major programs towards districts adversely affected by illegal mining activity, also known as Galamsey. It says the one district, one factory, one village, one dam, and the $1 million annual investments in constituencies could all provide alternative livelihoods and help curb the menace. There's more in this report.
Government is preparing to unleash military compulsion in the second phase of the fight against illegal mining. However, civil society organization, the Ghana Growth and Development Platform, wants measures taken to be done simultaneously with efforts to provide alternative sources of livelihood for areas where the practice is rife. It believes illegal mining activities could be curbed if government's programs are targeted at those areas. In its latest paper, the GDDP also concluded that small-scale mining should remain Ghanaian-owned and operated. It called for firm and swift action to be taken to legalize, advise and assist illegal miners to formalize the operations and to control, supervise and monitor the activities in order to prevent environmental degradation. Over 200,000 people are estimated to be engaged in the small-scale and Galamsey sectors in the country.
It's on the marketplace. Let's now cross over to the Ashanti region, and rural banks are lamenting the increasing rate of loan default and loan deposits during the lean season in some cocoa-producing areas in the Ashanti region. The worrying trend, they say, is because of a lack of alternative livelihoods initiatives to give farmers extra income besides cocoa.
Board chairman of Ahafo Community Bank, Reverend Kofi Sechi, said the situation is very pronounced between February and August.
Here, our economic situation, or where we get our businesses running, is during the cocoa season. So people who collect the loans, especially during the lean season, are not able to repay the loans. But when it gets to the cocoa season, where money comes into the system, they have so many commitments. And before we will be aware, they might have spent their monies elsewhere, you see. So these are some of the challenges. People also complain, or some of the customers who come to take monies also complain that during the cocoa season, they couldn't get much yield of their cocoa. So they find it very difficult to repay their loans.
He observes the infamous DKM saga has also added to the low public confidence in rural banks.
It had a great impact on the bank operations, with the DKM operations, which many people lost their monies. Besides that, after people tried and they couldn't get their monies back, they felt reluctant to deposit their monies with our bank, or I should think the small banks. Well, they thought that our operations were like the DKM, so they feared bringing their monies into our bank. So it had an adverse effect on the bank. People fear. They think we are like the DKM, which of course is not the case.
Regional Deputy Minister Evans Opoku-Bobie said government is committed to reimbursing victims of the DKM fraud as a way of reviving credibility of banks.
Government is committed to ensuring that depositors who were affected get their funds back. That is why the processes that were started to ensuring that the people get their money back. I'm talking about the appointment of the liquidator to try to liquidate the assets of the DKM company. You could remember that I started in the former administration. But when this government took over, government hasn't taken a decision to cancel that processes. Government is still committed to ensuring that the processes goes on smoothly, so that each and every depositor who might have lost his investment get his money back.
Nana Sensumensa reporting.
So on the marketplace, let's now go live to Ebenezer Sabute, who is currently holding or with the Minister for Railway Development, JoyNews, at the local content forum for the construction sector. Hello, good afternoon, Ebenezer.
Good afternoon, Emmanuel.
All right, so who else has been speaking at the forum?
Okay, we have the chairman of the construction AGI, the person of Gov't, the state of the Gov't, who was assuring members of the AGI, especially in the construction sector, that they are making efforts to get in touch with government when it comes to giving contracts to local people. You know, many a time there has been the concern that some locals don't meet the quality of inspection or the necessary skills that government needs for each contract. But he is giving assurance that the association is making sure all these issues are dealt. So they are organizing training workshops and also some kind of call for set of the association in order to equip them to fit into the current trend of the industry.
All right, so earlier we heard the Minister for Railway Development talk about extension of the railway line from Kumasi to Paga, and on the other side mentioning that the railway line is going to go through Akosombo, through mounting blocks and things like that. What is the main issue here?
Okay, let me correct you here. It's not the Kumasi-Paga railway line which is going to pass through Akosombo. There are two issues here. The Akosombo railway line is a different thing, and then the Paga-Kumasi railway line is also a different thing. Let me do the first on the Kumasi-Paga railway line here. He mentioned that there are about 217 companies who have submitted bids or have shown interest to construct the over 590 kilometers railway line. And among these companies, we have more than 50 of them being local companies. And he's given assurance that government has made efforts to at least have 70% local participation in this project. So he was saying that this is the time for local contractors to come on board and have partnerships or measures so that they could be able to meet the necessary demands and qualities that government is looking for when it talks of this project. He also mentioned the fact that this project has been one of the key agendas on the Gov't administration, and they are trying to begin it before the close of this year, but they want to give it to a local contractor. On the Akosombo-Tema railway line, he was saying that they are trying to construct this railway line, which they've already signed an MOU with an Indian company. And in this case, I asked him whether this Indian company coming in, are we going to have local companies also partnering? And the answer he gave me was that because it is the Indian Exim Bank which is providing funding for this project, they have agreed that they are going to use Indian companies, Indian engineers. But certain labors or certain work on auxiliary work on the railway line are going to be given to local companies. So it is not as if because the Indian Exim Bank is funding it, they are giving the entire project to Indians or foreigners. But there's a little or a number of local companies who also be participating in this project. And for your information, they have already signed a contract which is about to begin.
All right, now, Ebenezer, if you can hear me, which local contractor has been appointed so far for this construction project?
Yes, he's saying that because it is a competitive bidding and the process is not finally ended yet, they have not finalized on the process yet, we will not be able to mention the local contractor. So he didn't mention a particular contractor to me, but he's just assuring that there are local participation in this project. Akosombo railway line project.
All right, any other information we need to know?
Okay, the other information is that aside from this Tema to Akosombo rail line project, they are also considering some other projects such that before you get to Akosombo, they will develop a city at where the railway line will end, so that economic activities can go on there, so that at least people who come all the way from Tema trading to Akosombo or Burkina Faso can have a city such that they can do transit trading and other economic activities.
All right, many thanks for your time, Ebenezer Sabuti, joining us live on phone at the forum to discuss local content involvement in the construction industry. Now, moving on, government has decided to grant tax reliefs to manufacturing companies on the implementation of the One District, One Factory policy.
Joy Business understands that the meeting, which happened last Friday, brought together some big manufacturing firms in the country and senior members of the Association of Ghana Industries to deliberate on their concerns about the tax. Sources say there have been some agreements in principle by government to still go ahead with the tax, whilst it works to review aspects that affect manufacturing firms and possibly wholesalers in the country. This should mean that the tax could be waived for distributors of goods produced in the country as well as large-scale importers. Joy Business is learning that the move by government has been influenced by concerns that implementing the tax in its current form could have some negative impact on the economy. However, sources say the whole tax would not be scrapped, but government is prepared to make some amendments to deal with concerns by local manufacturing firms and look at implementing it for retailers. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta last week indicated that government would not remove the tax because he sees nothing wrong with it. But the manufacturers have also maintained that implementing the tax in its current form would lead to job layoffs and some downsizing of operations as well as price increases of goods.
And that's where we draw the curtains on the marketplace for today. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a good afternoon.